As one of the ways to boost investments in the country, Uganda, like its peers in the region, came up with the investor incentive regimes. These have over the years ranged from tax holidays and subsidies, especially on land rates for investors, to easing the acquisition processes of family government-owned parastatals through forfeiting some costs. The local investors, however, multinational corporation, appear to have the major beneficiaries of the process, even when it appears to be open to all. Such interventions, according to the Uganda Small-Scale Industries Association, should have special focus for the local entities, given the multiplicity of challenges they are contending with.
Now, we are not saying the SME sector, the private sector should be babysat. What we are saying is that where there is need for intervention, let that intervention exist. For instance, if you ask how many enterprises have websites, there are few. If you ask how many enterprises have logos, there are few. If you ask how many entrepreneurs have business cards, there are few. Do these things cost a lot of money? No. Can government intervene in certain areas? Yes. Can entrepreneurs share the burden? Of course. What we need is a smart partnership between the private sector and government, where government can come in and offer some kind of subsidy, particularly for budding entrepreneurs who have not yet broken even or are still struggling. Then that would be a welcome move.
This position is supported by some civil society organizations who argue that since the cost of investment incentives is largely borne by locals, local entrepreneurs need to see much of such support coming their way. But of more concern is the much tilted business terrain in favor of multinationals coming out of the current incentives regime.
Foreign direct investors, it might make sense, you might have a logic, but it actually creates such a big inequality with small to medium term enterprises. So if you go and speak to Kasita, the type of incentives small to medium term traders want are very different from the types of incentives we are giving foreign direct investors. So if you are a foreign investor, my brother, I give you an incentive as a government, you are going to come and compete with local traders, you certainly have an added advantage. And so that is the injustice that incentives create beyond just money lost.
Additionally, the business community feels that the kind of incentives the country offers to multinational corporations affords them better profits, a bulk of which are, however, repatriated out of the country.
If government said, look, you're making a lot of profits locally, please reinvest 10% of your resources in local brands where they are able to have a certain share of your market. Because there's a middle class that is spending money in this country that is interested in quality and is not willing to compromise health and safety and proper branding. I'll give you an illustration of the honey sector. The honey sector is struggling because of this. 80% of the local honey market was being dominated by local producers, but now this is decreasing. Why? Poor branding.
According to the private sector foundation Uganda, government appears to have refocused its approach, coming up with a number of incentives that can be exploited by locals, especially those playing in the small and medium enterprise realm.
There is an incentive regime now that government has put in place, and looking at investments in various sectors. Investments focused especially on value addition, especially in agribusiness, in agriculture and agribusiness. Value addition on agro products, especially for export. And here we can look at beef products. There are about 11 sectors that government has actually prioritized under the DSIP, the Development Strategy and Investment Plan for Agriculture, which includes fish, beef, coffee.
Now, as Uganda and indeed its peers in East Africa continue to fall over each other in the race to attract investors, the key ideological questions arising is whether these incentives should go to local investors as opposed to foreign ones. But even more is whether these incentives are necessary at all. Malcolm Sime, NTV Business.